Hasn't quite transferred that outdoor. The Luxembourg athlete, Alea Hobbs. Sorry, excuse me, Zoe Hobbs. The reason I'm saying Alea Hobbs is because of the performances at the American Championships. Jacious Sears going well for the USA this season, but Julien Alfred will be the favourite here. Ta Lou-Smith. I hesitate to use the word veteran, but you almost can't say that. She's incredibly fast still. Now Clayton has a chance here. Got injured at the Jamaican Championships. Must win this. That's a tall order. Dina Asher-Smith of Great Britain 7, then Maia McCoy of United States in lane 8. And on the outside, taking advantage of a home country wild card, Salomé Kora, one of the Swiss relay team members. So yeah, Tia Clayton had pretty much 7 weeks out, then burst back onto the scene in Silesia with an incredible 9, wouldn't it? 10.86. So that will mean Julien Alfred, who is in superb form across 100 and the 200, new personal best in London for the Olympic champion at 100. But could Clayton get in amongst this here? Looks relaxed. Diamond League title for her at stake for Tia Clayton. Chance to get herself on the team, which she probably deserves. Her twin sister, Tina, already in the Jamaican team. So Clayton is in lane 6 between them. Ta Lou-Smith there, and in the yellow, Julien Alfred, the Olympic champion. Women's 100. There's just a bit of a movement from Alfred before. We might get a faulty start there rather than a false start, I think. It's just a bit of movement in the blocks, but it's coming up as Ta Lou-Smith. But I think she may well have cause to say there was movement next to me.
Yeah,
let's see if we watch this.
Yeah, let's see it again. So, yeah.
I mean, that's a clear false start, but what we didn't quite see there, just a brief second, or half a second before that.
Reaction time coming up is 0.47.
I understand that, and that's what they look at.
Yeah.
But she might say, hang on, the athlete next to me wasn't still.
That's so cool, isn't it?
Was I seeing where again? It's probably just a tad before that. A tad means about 3/10, by the way. That's a disqualification. Don't often see that from Ta Lou-Smith. What she's saying.
She can, of course, run under protest. She is not happy, as you can see. I can't think of many times in her career when she has been false started, Steve.
No, I mean, she doesn't need to. She's a good starter. Generally, it's a good part of her race. She's running so quick at the minute. Very quick over 200 recently as well in Lausanne. Now what we're getting. Protest. So, Ta Lou-Smith able to run in lane 5, just adds to the tension here. I'm sure for Tia Clayton even more so. She knows her job is fairly simple, win. But to do that, you've got to beat the Olympic champion who's in great form. That's certainly asking something. It's Roger Federer watching on.
Tennis royalty in the house.
I don't know what his 100-meter best would be. Was it super quick? He's just smooth, isn't he?
He didn't need to be. He just sort of glided around the court as if he was on roller skates.
Van der Weken on the far side, Zoe Hobbs, then Jacious Sears, Julien Alfred, Olympic champion in 4, Ta Lou-Smith, then Clayton, Dina Asher-Smith, McCoy in 8.
Right.
Alfred gets a pretty good start, so does Jacious Sears right next to her as well. And look at Clayton. Clayton's there trying to take it on. It's Clayton Alfred, but Alfred goes away now. Alfred gets the meter, 10.75. Very, very impressive. Controlled, no panic. But at the back end of the race, when she needs it most, has just got that ability to keep smoothly going forward. As though she's continuing to accelerate, she's just really maintaining better than everybody else. Dina Asher-Smith took 3rd place in a very, very close, was a photo finish for 3rd. I think she'll get it ahead of Ta Lou-Smith.
The Zurich Diamond League final delivered exactly what a championship 100-meter race should. World-class athletes, enormous pressure, a dramatic false start, and a champion who found another level when it mattered most. In the end, Julien Alfred did not simply win the women's 100 meters. She controlled the race with the kind of composure that has become one of the defining features of her sprinting. The field was loaded with quality. Alfred entered as the Olympic champion and one of the most reliable sprinters in the world. Jamaica's Tia Clayton was returning from injury and had a huge incentive to perform. Dina Asher-Smith brought years of championship experience, while Jacious Sears, Zoe Hobbs, Maia McCoy, Salomé Kora, and Patrizia van der Weken added further depth. Marie-Josée Ta Lou-Smith was another major threat, but the race changed dramatically before the gun even fired. Ta Lou-Smith was called for a false start after a reaction time of 0.047 seconds. She immediately protested, arguing that movement from a neighboring athlete may have influenced her reaction. The officials did not overturn the decision, although she was allowed to run under protest. It was a brutal moment for one of the most experienced starters in the field because, in a final of this level, losing concentration for a fraction of a second can completely change the race. Once the athletes settled back into the blocks, the pressure shifted toward Tia Clayton. For Clayton, this was not simply another Diamond League race. She had been sidelined after an injury at the Jamaican Championships and had returned to competition with something to prove. Her twin sister Tina had already secured her place on Jamaica's World Championship team, while Tia still had her own ambitions. Winning in Zurich could change the entire story surrounding her season, and Clayton showed immediately that she was not there just to participate. When the clean start finally came, Clayton attacked the first phase aggressively. Her acceleration was one of the most important elements of the race. She got into her running quickly and stayed close to Alfred through the early stages. For a moment, the Jamaican looked capable of making this a genuine battle all the way to the finish. But Alfred's race is not defined only by the first 30 meters. That is where the technical difference became obvious. Alfred's start was strong without being spectacular. She did not need to create a huge advantage immediately. Instead, she allowed the race to develop. Her acceleration continued as the field transitioned from the low drive phase into upright sprinting. Around the 40 to 50 meter mark, Alfred began to separate herself. This is one of the most impressive characteristics of her 100-meter running. She does not appear to force the transition. Her body rises naturally, her stride remains efficient, and she continues applying force without creating unnecessary tension. Many sprinters begin to tighten when they reach maximum velocity. Alfred often looks as though she is becoming more comfortable. That relaxation is extremely important. At the highest level of sprinting, the difference between winning and losing can come down to how much speed an athlete is able to preserve during the final 30 meters. The first part of the race is about generating speed. The second challenge is maintaining it while fatigue begins to appear. Alfred's ability to continue moving forward with almost no visible deterioration is one of the reasons she is so dangerous. By approximately 70 meters, the race had changed completely. Clayton was still running an excellent race, but Alfred had begun to create daylight between herself and the rest of the field. The St. Lucian did not need a dramatic late dive or desperate final push. She simply maintained her mechanics and carried her speed through the finish. The clock stopped at 10.76 seconds. That number is important because this was not a heavily wind-assisted performance. The wind was only plus 0.3 meters per second. meaning the result was essentially a pure demonstration of Alfred's ability. She finished 0.08 seconds ahead of Clayton, which is a significant margin in an elite 100-meter final. Tia Clayton crossed in 10.84, confirming that her return from injury was already extremely serious. Dina Asher-Smith took third in 10.94, with Jacious Sears fourth in 10.96. Zoe Hobbs ran 11.09, Maia McCoy 11.14, Salomé Kora 11.21, and Patrizia van der Weken 11.26. The result also needs to be viewed in the context of Alfred's season. She had already established herself as one of the dominant 100-meter athletes of the year, and she had shown that her speed was not limited to the shorter event. Her performances over 200 meters demonstrated that she possessed exceptional speed endurance as well. Earlier in the season, she ran 21.71 in London, showing that her ability to maintain velocity over a longer distance was developing into another major weapon. That combination is what makes Alfred so difficult to beat. A pure 100-meter specialist may try to destroy the field during the opening 60 meters. A 200-meter specialist may rely on strength and speed endurance. Alfred combines elements of both approaches. She can accelerate efficiently, reach elite maximum velocity, and then maintain that velocity deep into the race. The Zurich performance also showed an important psychological quality. She did not appear affected by the chaos surrounding her. The false start, the protest, the delay, and the pressure of a Diamond League final could easily disrupt an athlete's rhythm. Instead, Alfred returned to the blocks and executed her race. There was no visible panic. She did not overreact to Clayton's aggressive start. She trusted the structure of her own sprint. That is the difference between being fast and being a champion. Alfred became Olympic champion in Paris in 2024, but the challenge after an Olympic breakthrough is always greater. Once an athlete reaches the top, every opponent wants to beat her. Every race becomes a test of whether the champion can reproduce the same level under completely different circumstances. Zurich suggested that Alfred had developed exactly that consistency. Her victory also carried significance for the Diamond League season itself. World Athletics 2025 Diamond League standings placed Alfred at the top of the women's 100 meters with 31 points, ahead of Marie-Josée Ta Lou-Smith and Maia McCoy. The Zurich final, therefore, was not merely another victory. It was the final confirmation of her position as the season's leading Diamond League 100-meter sprinter. And perhaps the most impressive part is that Alfred still had room for improvement. A 10.76 victory can look almost perfect from the outside, but elite sprinters analyze the smallest details. Alfred's start, the transition phase, her maximum velocity mechanics, and the way she connects each section of the race can all be refined. That is what makes her progression dangerous for the rest of the field. She is already capable of winning major races while still identifying technical areas that can become faster. For Tia Clayton, the 10.84 was equally important. She did not beat Alfred, but she showed that the injury had not removed her explosiveness. Her aggressive opening phase proved that she has the raw speed to challenge the Olympic champion. The biggest question is whether Clayton can maintain that speed over the final 30 meters against Alfred. In Zurich, that was where Alfred created the decisive separation. Dina Asher-Smith's third place also demonstrated the depth of the field. Her 10.94 put her just outside the 10.8 range, but she remained competitive against a group of athletes capable of producing world-class times. Sears, meanwhile, finished only 200ths behind Asher-Smith, showing just how small the margins were behind the winner. But ultimately, this race belonged to one athlete. Julien Alfred did not win because everyone else had a bad day. She won because when the race entered its most important phase, she was able to produce the cleanest and most sustainable sprint. Clayton challenged her early. The rest of the field stayed within striking distance, yet Alfred continued accelerating, then maintained her speed with remarkable control. That is what separates her from the field. The women's 100 meters is entering an era where the margins are incredibly small and the list of potential challengers continues to grow. Jamaica has Clayton and a deep sprinting tradition. The United States continues to produce elite 100-meter talent. Great Britain has Asher-Smith and a strong group behind her. But Alfred currently possesses something every champion needs: the ability to perform when the race is supposed to be at its hardest. Zurich was therefore more than a 10.76. It was a statement. The Olympic champion returned to the biggest stage, faced an explosive Jamaican challenger, survived a chaotic pre-race situation, and then produced the strongest final 30 meters of the race. No panic, no wasted movement, no desperate finish, just control. And when Julien Alfred reaches that level of control, the rest of the field is not racing for an easy victory. They are racing to find a way to keep up. That is why her Zurich performance was one of the clearest demonstrations of dominance in the women's 100 meters. The stopwatch showed 10.76, but the real message was written in the final meters. Alfred had another gear, and nobody else could match it.